Hi, I'm Hayley Kay, back for another G-Vlog here at Blackpool's Grand Theatre. Once again, I'm joined by theatre archivists Linda and Geoff Tolson, NBE. Now, I believe you guys once again have been digging through the archives, and Geoff, you found something special, so tell us what you've got there.
This is our recent prize collection item. It's a bound set of programmes from the year 1902.
Wow.
And when we received it, we were very pleased to receive it and have a look. Now, we knew from previous bits what we'd seen, there was sort of a fairly stylised centrepiece, as it were, for the programme. But as we flicked through it, all of a sudden, we came across this.
Gosh.
Gold ink, sometimes different backgrounds. So you look at another one, it might have had a different background. There's one with a pale background. Absolutely gorgeous and in beautiful condition.
Because the theatre was less than 10 years old at this point, and they're so beautifully, like, in such beautiful condition.
Yeah, we were delighted to receive it.
What makes that stand out though as a programme to you when you sort of got it? What makes it stand out?
Well, the fascinating history of the people who've appeared over the years. As much as anything, for example, as we barely get into it, on January the 9th, 1902, who appeared here at the Grand Theatre? Winston Churchill.
Really?
He was on a lecture tour of the country, and he appeared there, and he's right down at the bottom, Winston Churchill.
Gosh.
He was then a Liberal MP, he wasn't Conservative, and he was mainly on the problems of poverty throughout the country and presumably what the Liberals were going to do about it if they got elected. It was a form of electioneering, no television, no radio. You went out and you talked to people.
Yeah, well, pretty fresh the flesh, I guess, and you had to be seen. So, is it true that the programme was a gift from someone?
It was indeed. We were very fortunate in that respect. It was gifted over to us by a lady called Alison Cummins, and she discovered it when her aunt died, and she went through her aunt's belongings in the house and came across this and thought, well, this ought to go back where it belongs.
Wow.
And it came originally anonymously in an envelope, very little detail, but we managed to track Alison down and say thanks. Thanks so much on that one.
Absolutely.
It's beautiful.
Now, there's lots of, you've had a really good look at this. I haven't had such a good look, but what sort of strikes you in there? What sort of jumps out for either of you, really?
We were just so excited because it gives you such an insight into the kind of shows that were being performed at the Grand at that time and the sort of thing that people liked. And it was, in a way, very much like today. It's a mix.
Yeah.
People like a bit of everything. Look here. We've got Bluebeard, a pantomime. Now, we know you're interested in pantomime.
Absolutely.
But in 1902, it wasn't always just a Christmas thing. Pantomimes popped up all through the year. So there are actually 3 pantomimes in here at different times of the year. And this Bluebeard, it actually has a cast of 33 people.
Wow, that's a huge
cast. They were very interested in melodrama. here we are, A Sister's Sin. And there's another one about the blind child's peril. They loved all that stuff, really.
But like you say, not too different to today.
No.
In that they have everything here from plays to musicals to dance.
Well, a musical comedy, loads and loads of musical comedy. And
Santoy was a musical comedy.
That's right. So interesting, burlesque and a little bit of everything.
So what famous faces would have been on our stage in 1902?
Well, if we look, we will mention musical comedy. If we look at George Edwards, this man here, he was an impresario.
Okay.
He had 2 theatres in London. He had the Gator Theatre and he had Daly's Theatre. And he struck up a friendship with the manager of our theatre here in Blackpool, Thomas Sergenson. And they said they would do a deal, and he promised that he would, after his shows had been at his theatre in London, he would bring them to Blackpool and he would bring them to the Grand Theatre. And this man, extraordinary man, he did 67 plays and operas through his life, and 50 of those came to the Grand Theatre.
Gosh.
And his shows were very, very spectacular. They were very beautifully produced, a huge orchestra, wonderful sets, and he had the Gator Girls.
Well, tell us a bit more about the Gator Girls then. Where do they fit in?
The Gator Girls were chorus girls, but they were very well educated, they came from very good families, they were very well disciplined, and, all girls were desperate to manage to get to be a Gator Girl. And you asked me about famous names. Well, Mary Studholme, Cicely Courtnish, Jessie Matthews, Gladys Cooper, Evelyn Leigh, Constance Collier, they all started off as Gator Girls, because if you were a Gator Girl, all the young men in that particular town would come hanging around the stage door, door Johnnies, in full evening dress, and take the girls out to dinner. But it was all above board, and they were all chaperoned. But if you were a Gator Girl, you were pretty sure of a good marriage.
Wow.
And many of them married into the aristocracy. And if you couldn't manage a knight or an earl or whatever, you had to make do with a stockbroker. But they did very, very well.
And very beautiful. You can see how beautiful they were. Now, is it true that a night at the theatre was different then, was longer in some respects than it is now?
Well, yeah, that interested us, didn't it, Geoff? We
there was
found
one just recently you flicked through. Well, here we are. This is A Cigarette Maker's Romance.
That's great.
To be followed nightly by Sheer Luck Jones. So there were two plays in one performance.
Yeah, so you'd have a little starter and then you'd have your main feature, or you'd have your main feature and then something afterwards.
Well, this is it. The first one, Cigarette Maker's Romance, is in 3 acts. So it's a full 3-act play, followed, and this doesn't have any act number, so presumably this one was just a 1-act play.
It's unbelievable. It's the same but so different.
Yeah, and they also had bars. They had bars at each level, and at least one of those would be a temperance bar. But again, it tells us in here, a nice little piece, advertising their bars and saying that they are selling the finest wines and good beer and etc. And, would you believe, the best brands of cigars. So in other words, you would come to the theatre, not only would they be smoking cigarettes, but the man next to you could have been smoking his cigar.
As well.
It's crazy to think
It's a
that was a totally different world, like you say,
Yeah.
Geoff. Well, once again, thank you so much for chatting to me. I wish we could talk for longer because there's so many more things I'd love to ask. Now, if you want more details about everything we've discussed, you can head over to our website. It's blackpoolgrand.co.uk/Blackpool's History. I've been Hayley Kay for G-Vlog.